Suit up, strap in, warm the tires, and leave on yellow. Time for the MitsuTimes podcast. Presented by MitsuTimes.org, the home of the fastest Mitsubishi cars. With your host, Josh.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Josh from MitsuTimes. Today, my guest is Jeff Mueller. He is the owner and driver of the 1Fine9 Evo 9. You've probably seen it at World Cup Finals. How you doing today, Jeff?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure spending the weekend with you out there at World Cup. We got to see a lot of fast cars go fast, and it was fun to get out there and rub shoulders with everybody, even outside of the little shootout crowd where we all have the same kind of cars.
Yeah, I love World Cup, and let's see. I live in Baltimore, Maryland, right? And so Maryland International Raceway is like in my backyard.
Yeah.
And I'm going to MIR about 17 years, I think, for World Cup Finals, and I love it more and more each year.
Yeah.
And there's been times where we were going to go on a family cruise, and my mom was like, "Are you going to go?" And I'm like, "Nah, I can't. That's World Cup Finals week." And she was like, "I will pay for your cruise." I'm like, "Nope, not happening." And that was before I raced it, and like that was my whole goal with the car was to someday race True Street, and just because the car still kind of resembled a street car,
right?
I've always set the car up for the rules of True Street.
Okay.
Just in case the car was ever fast enough to get on the property. And last couple of years, I was able to do that. And I think 2019, I think I was supposed to race then, or was it 2020 with COVID? It actually qualified to race, and then they turned it into yes, it was 2020.
Oh,
and then we ran the Hail Mary Derby instead, which was still really fun. So, but man, I love seeing it's like another like reunion with the Mitsu guys out there. All the fast guys. So it's nice seeing them again. A couple months after going to the shootout.
It feels like we had just left the shootout a week ago.
Yeah, I was gonna bring it up to a couple guys, well, everybody really, and see if this coming year in 2023 we all meet one day, everybody come in at the same time, meet up, and we'll have like a Mitsubishi row at World Cup Finals where we're all pitted exactly next to each other. I think that would be really cool.
That would be cool.
Yeah. Because we're always so helpful to each other, you know what I mean?
For sure, yeah.
Everybody's always sharing and, hey, can I borrow this? Yeah, sure. Come up in the trailer, find what you need. Hey, I'm not at the trailer. Just go in, you know where it's at. Just go looking until you find it. You know.
The English guys took parts off of their car after they broke to get Rafe's car back out there. I thought that was pretty awesome.
Yeah. Those guys are awesome. Lucas and Miles. The whole community is a good community. I think that's why I love being a part of it.
Yeah, for sure.
I really do.
So, Jeff, tell us about the setup on the 1Fine9. What is it that has got you going so fast that you're a World Cup final qualifier?
Oh, so this year actually put a personal best down. It went 857 at 166.9, and we used a different turbo this year than what we're used to for World Cup Finals. We used the new Precision Turbo 6470 Next Gen, and man, the car went, I think, 560 to the eighth, and it wound up running a personal best with a smaller turbo than what I'm used to, probably a couple hundred horsepower less, and I didn't even think the car was going to run at 8 with that turbo at all. Like, I was like, man, there's no way with a 64 millimeter, because this is so hard to do. And actually, it's the quickest and fastest Evo that's ever been recorded with a 64 millimeter turbo.
No kidding. Wow.
Yeah. So people were trying to chase it and stuff like that. I was never trying to chase it. Like, oh yeah, I'm going to beat this person. But Joey Vittorio from Boost Performance, he had the record. It went like an 8.6 something.
Okay.
869 or something like that. And I know a couple people that were like, "Oh, I'm gonna try to beat that." And I had a buddy that put a real light car together, like 2,200 pounds, and he's like, I'm gonna go for that record. I'm like, oh, it's pretty cool, because it's hard. It's such a small turbo, and he actually wound up having to sell the 64 millimeter and ran into some money problems. But he still has the car though; it's pretty light, so maybe he'll bring that thing back out. It's way lighter than my car. My car weighs almost 2,800 pounds.
Oh wow!
But the setup, we usually run a Precision Turbo 6785. It's a cast block that I build myself. It's a 150 millimeter aluminum rod. It's got R&R rods, Y-scope pistons. The block's fully filled. It actually has a stock port head with a Ferreira valve train, Kigley drag springs. It's got Kelford cams, JM billet intake manifold. It's got 8 Siemens Deca 230-pound injectors. The car runs on M1. It's got Quartermaster triple. It's got a PPG dog box, transfer case that I built with a wave track. It's got it's funny because the car still has stock front rear axles, stock rear end.
Wow.
It's got a Haltech 2500 Elite with an IC7 dash.
Heck yeah.
And one of my favorite things, and I waited 2 years for them, is the M Composite carbon doors. And it's a real carbon door. It's not fiberglass with a carbon front. It's not like with carbon face, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a real carbon door. It's carbon through and through. It's got carbon Kevlar on the inside for puncture resistance. The fronts weigh 8 pounds with nothing in them, and the rears weigh about 6. And it's a full frame door. I ordered the ones that you could actually bolt on all the factory options, like the door panels, the window regulator, everything bolts onto it. I actually had it on at the shootout this year.
Dang.
So it's, they're so nice. I love them. And the car has front and rear subframes. The car is kind of, it's a really simple car, really. And it's got to be simple because, it's easy for me to work on that way, because I built the car mainly, up until last year. I built it on my concrete patio in my backyard. I don't even have a garage, so. Yeah. The engine I built in a clean area, but yeah, now I'll go out and work on it inside my trailer, There
you go. Got your own mobile garage now.
Yeah, something like that. We'll move into a nice, bigger, newer house soon. COVID kind of messed this stuff up, so that's a different job and changed careers about 4 years ago. So this stuff's getting right back on its feet.
Well, that's good news. So Jeff, what is it that got you in the Evo platform in the first place?
Actually, I was. What's funny is I was Nissan guy. You know what I mean?
Oh wow.
Yeah, I had a 2003 Nissan Sentra SER Spec V. I thought was such a cool little car. You know what I mean? At 17 years old when I started driving. Yeah. And funny story is, a tractor trailer cut me off, and my buddy AJ Brooks, one of my best friends, and turned in front of me, and I went completely underneath the car.
Oh my god!
Kind of like Fast and the Furious, but it took the whole roof off, right? And I took the roof off until the back seat basically, and I could have died. And they said that I passed out, and I was kind of slunched over to the side, and I just someone woke me up, and I unlatched the seat. And slid it back and just hopped out the window. But after that, I got a 350Z. I was 19 years old, had a 350Z, and then it was 2004, and I had an 03 350Z. And then they're like, "Oh man," people are "Oh, it's your mommy and daddy's car, this and that." And that's what I bought it, paid for it myself, paid for the insurance. I was paying I want to say $1,000 a month to drive this thing.
Jeez.
And that was new hot sports car back then, And then I got rid of it, and I got another Spec V, '05. Yeah, '05. I bought one brand new, and then I turbocharged it.
Oh,
and
wow.
It was like there was like 5 of them with a prototype in the country, right? And I was one of them. It was like one of the first turbocharged ones back then. And then I would get. It's funny because this was getting to the Evo stuff, right? And like Evo was just like coming out, and like I really wasn't familiar with them, but they weren't like really really fast then, right? So I would run into like bolt-on Evos on the highway,
Yeah.
and like we were roll racing like this Sentra. I was in like 20 some hundred pounds, 2,500 pounds, and it made like 300 some horsepower to the tire, and thing was fast, is quick.
Yeah.
And I was racing, I beat Evos all the time, and like I remember this one time I raced 3 different Evos. I guess they were groups of friends, and they took turns racing me on the highway to about like 100 and like something mile an hour, right? And I like took turns beating each one of them. It was so funny. I like missed my grandmom's exit just so I could race them another like couple miles. It was funny, but yeah, I didn't even know what what the Evo really like was. And then my buddy got an STI, and I was like, you know what? It's time for me to get a new car too. And I went out and test drove an STI, and I didn't like it. And that very next day, I was like, you know what? Man, I wonder how this Evo is. So I found an Evo, and the only thing I could find was the MR. And I didn't know nothing about the Evo, and I found one in Virginia, and it was rainy. Like, it was a rainy weekend. It was a rainy weekend in October.
Yeah.
I scheduled a meeting, went down and go drive it. I mean, look at it, drove it. And I was just like cruising around. Like, if you were like going like stoplight to stoplight, just cruising around in the neighborhood real quiet. And I was like, I love this thing. Like, suede, you know what I mean? The suede leather Recaros, like the 6-speed transmission shifted so nice. Like, it was a nice car, and it had an exhaust system on it because in Virginia, the dealerships were allowed to sell a modified car, so it had an exhaust system on it, and it didn't have the wing on it either. It had like this. It was a Rex Speed carbon spoiler on it, and I thought it looked really neat, and like. It looked really nice, the BBS wheels, and it was a nice car. And then ever since then, I've been hooked.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
So is that the same car that you have now?
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Gosh.
I've had this car for about 15 years.
Man.
It still has 50,000 miles on it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so cool. I love that you fell in love with it and you still have it now.
Yeah, when I bought it, like I said, I really did not thought it just had an exhaust on it, right? And the more I had it, I didn't even pop the hood at the dealership, right? So I was ready, like signing that paper, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we wound up driving it in the wintertime, you know what I'm saying, and driving it more. And my mom, she was like, I like going fast or quick, you know what I mean? And she was like, you better not mod this car, right? And I was like, nah, I'm not going to mod it. You know what I mean? It's just going to stay stock. And here it is today running, 850s.
Right.
So funny. She makes jokes about it. But it actually wound up having a full turbo back. It had a manual Howland boost controller, a drop-in K&N filter, right? And it was tuned. I didn't know it was tuned also. I'd buy it. Who, I have no idea. But wound up taking it to the track, like in the spring, dude, it would go 12.0 at 112 miles an hour, like on a click. I could run it, I could hot lap it 12.0.
Holy crap.
Yeah, dude, like, I just get used to the cars, you know what I mean? And it's pretty consistent. Even like the car now, like it's quick, you know what I mean? It's got some power, but like when it's on, I can pretty much drive it, you know what I mean, within a tenth or so, like every time. I get compliments all the time from people saying like, man, that car is so consistent every year, no matter whatever it's running, like that's what it runs. So if it's like I was stuck in like, the car going 9.0, it was going 9.0, or if, like when I went 890, it was running 8.9, 8.9, 8.9, 8.9, like 880, 8.9. It would just run right in that range, And I was really fortunate, but yeah, it was funny because I bought the car to actually go street racing. That's what I bought the car for.
Okay.
And it stayed like a street car. The street racing scene in Maryland's pretty big, right?
Oh yeah.
And down on Interstate 70, right where the parking ride is. and that was my stomping grounds. Because some buddies pretty upset with me that I don't hang out there no more.
It's hard to take it out now.
But that's what we bought it for. Go have some fun, and man, I love that car. So attached to it.
That's awesome. So did you have any did you have any quarter mile goals at the time, or it was just
no, not at all, man. I just wanted to go. I was racing. I think I can't remember when I started racing like at the track on a regular, but really like we didn't know what the car was running, and we were racing on a street and we were racing, 10.5, 28 10.5 nitrous Mustang, 351 Windsor, like we were always racing stuff out of the class. I'll get to the setups and stuff and but it is fun. It's fun. I'm having like 67, 66 on the car, about 800 horsepower, and it was still on like street tires, like a fat street tire too. I got a taller street tire so I could air it down a little bit. And, it was fun.
Let's go over some of those setups that that you really like, that really worked for the car.
Well, I can tell you if I can remember. I can tell you like kind of in order. So
okay.
My buddy AJ, man, if it wasn't for him, like he helped me buy the first turbo kit for it, honestly, and he got me he paid for like half of a Buescher Racing HTA 35R kit, and put that on a stock motor, and I went to go get it tuned, right? Like, and I didn't really know much about these cars then, right? But it's like this is really shortly after I bought the thing. Like, so I bought it that spring. We was running with a stock turbo and coming out, and next thing you know, like that summer I had a 35R on it and an AEM. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, oh, dude, these things are awesome. So I got a HTA 35R kit, AEM V1. So like, I don't know the times on any of these, right? So, but I went to go get the car tuned on a stock motor, and one of these guys was changing my spark plugs on the dyno, and he cracked the porcelain on the spark plug, dropped down in my cylinder. Well, it wasn't me that changed the plugs. So when we started back up, it started misfiring. Like, well, what's going on? Me and the tuner, back in the day, old school dude, he's still around too, Brad Brooks. We just looked at each other like, man, what the hell's going on? And it was misfiring really bad. And it turned it off, started looking down there, bore scope, pieces of porcelain down, and the guy was like, oh, like looked at the plug. It had a split right down the middle where he must leaned on the spark plug with the tall extension and just cracked it and just split it right up the center. Porcelain dropped down. So right after that, I had a built motor. So we put the built motor in it. We didn't really turn it up with the HTA 35R. We made like 600 and some horsepower. Like I think like 630 right on the dyno. On C16, had like 1200 cc injectors in it.
Okay.
And street raced that thing. Ran some Pro Charge Mustangs on tire, and that was fun. Man, I had so much fun with this car. Then I was like, man, I kept the turbo manifold. It was a Buescher kit, a Sheriff Fab manifold, and I was like, man, I want to get a different turbo. You know what I mean? This is not even shortly after that. I'm like, I'm ready to get rid of this HTA turbo. I want to get something bigger one. So I wanted to get a 67, 65, right? And this guy was selling one, and it was supposed to be like a 950R, right? From AMS, which is the 67 millimeter, and like in a different, like they called it something different,
Yeah. And
he wanted my HTA, and some money, so I traded him, and it was a 5858.
What?
That's what it turned out to be. So I got hosed on a used turbo, right? Never bought a used turbo ever again. This is horrible, right? Well, I went to run the car anyway. I would put on the car for a little bit, and I wound up getting a regular 67, 65, from somebody actually. I did buy a used turbo. I did buy some from somebody I trusted, right? But it made like 600 horsepower. We came out and ran a Pro Charge 3 valve on a tire, and then we raced. I forget what else we raced. There was another Mustang that night. I was always racing V8s. Oh my god! And
you really were locally hated back then.
they were getting so mad. Oh my goodness. And I'm pretty humble, right? And then I see guy push my buttons, and then I'm pretty cocky. But especially when out back then, like I would just have my buddy, one of my best friends, Greg Shaw, he would just talk for me, like because I start talking and it goes bad, like I just run my fucking mouth, like just man, I just get real cocky. But the guy was like, "I'll go get my 1G." I said, "Get that piece of shit! I'll drag that motherfucker down 70, right?" Yeah, and so he like found out how much power the car made. This was with the 5858, and I'm running through these guys with this 5858 that was supposed to be a 67 millimeter, right? And then he didn't wind up going getting his 1G. We got up a big pot to race his buddy Z06 vet that was in their squad. Got all this money up, and my buddy Greg was like, "He's gonna steal on you, right?" We were racing from him. I'm like, "Nah, he's gonna steal on me, right?" I'll be damned, this fucker stole on me, right? I lost. It was my like first loss ever with the car on the street, and they're not too bad. Like, can't win them all, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, dude, we took so much money from everybody too, and we wouldn't hustle them. We were setting people out. There's plenty of videos of my car on YouTube of me setting, Turbo S2000 out on tire and Mustangs and Turbo Civic hatches on a slick, and like they prep the road, get down. It was so much fun. But then like Corvettes, automatic Corvettes, and raced a couple of them, some stick cars, and I was racing these cars. I think I raced the last Corvette and it had a 6766 on it, still AEM car. By this time it was on E85 double pumper, and it still had that street tire on it, but the car just worked so well. It was a little taller, so I got a little bit more gearing out of it. And then we wound up putting a tire on it later that year, and then just really started hammering on it.
Heck yeah.
We're setting Pro-Charge stick Corvettes out. Like, we just we getting some good races with the thing. And then I put a 6870 on it, faceplate, trans. The car had a Myvec head on it, which it has an Evo 8 head on it, even though it's an Evo 9. It had a Myvec head on it, and the car made so much torque on the dyno. It would like torque steer left, right.
Wow.
Like, as soon as it come on, I forget how much torque it made, but the guy tuning at the time, Dave Katz, really good friend of mine, he tuned it all the way up to its first 8-second pass.
Oh, wow.
Yes, EFI Specialties, I highly recommend him. He's been around a long time. Really good friend of mine. But it actually, it ripped the faceplate off the gear, right? And then I wound up getting a dog box with a 6870 PPG. Then we started setting the car up. Actually, I put the 6870 on the car, we were setting it up to like run like World Cup then. Okay. You know what I mean? Because that's where like we were like pushing up the rules. 6870 was a good turbo, and I was like, oh yeah, this can do some stuff in True Street. But getting ready to come up to, the race, and something would happen, like, and I didn't have no extra parts. I couldn't find no extra parts. Like, I think one of my M&W ignition system failed on me right before World Cup, and I had to pull out 1 year. Like, it's always been something, right? I had a short in the MTAX system, the Mitsubishi like red box that's underneath the dash, and it had a short, and I was testing at MIR in like October, and smoke started coming through the dash when it started melting a wire.
Oh man!
My dash harness, it didn't start a fire, thank goodness. But yeah, I had to pull out for MIR 1 year because of that. And it's like crazy. So, but then we had a dog box in the car. With the 6870, we actually started that right at that time. We got the Haltech, and oh my god, I love the Haltech. So now I'm able to start tuning the car a little bit. I'm not in a tuner, but I can definitely make some changes, and favorable changes too.
Yeah.
So I'm really starting to look at the data logs, and with the help of Mike Wohler and Alex Pasadell, I can't thank them enough, because the car wouldn't probably be as far as it is today without their help. Like, I owe a lot to them.
Heck yeah. Definitely getting
a lot.
some advice from some fast guys right there.
Yeah, a lot of people are like, man, you're lucky to have them in your corner. And it's like, man, I think, I know, like, so. And then we had a 6785 Gen 2 on it with the dog box, and that's when it made its first 8-second pass, right? So up until, like, I think 6766, it ran its first, like, 9-second pass, and 6785 is when we ran our first 8. We ran, like, 898, I think it was, at 158. But, and then after that, we put the car on again, 67 millimeter, because I wanted to stay true to the true street and World Cup Finals rules.
Yeah.
I just feel that those, like, true street, super street, I think that those classes at the time were like the one that the Evo can stay kind of competitive if you really push the car hard enough, So we got the new 6785 next gen, put the car on M1. Alex threw a tune in it to get us close with his dog box Blue Evo that for right now it has the mile per hour record, 192 miles an hour. No, 191.
Yeah, 191.
It is. Yeah. And we have 191.7. But he's like, man, this will get us really close, and then we can just go start making passes at the track, and you can just start, tuning it out. I'll tell you what to aim for, with the Lambda scale, and we'll start leading on. We still haven't started leading on the car with, like, timing or nothing like that. But then this year we put that 6470 on it. So this year we had at the shootout we had the 6785 next gen on it, which makes way more power than the Gen 2. And then we put the next gen R 64 millimeter on it for World Cup this year for Main Street.
And that was to stay within the rules, right? The 64.
Yes, yeah, because the new turbo. And I was like, man, I'm gonna just pull out. And my wife was like, nope. She's like, you already signed up. You know what I mean? So I bought the turbo, ran it a couple passes, sold it.
I think it was you and two other Mitsubishi guys stepped down to that turbo just for the rules, right?
Yeah, my buddy, local buddy Tony Marks, he's stepped down to that turbo. Nate from TPG.
Oh, it was Nate. Okay.
Yes, yeah, with the 1G. Yeah, it's a pretty car. Yeah, but I liked racing the car over the years with those setups and, like, really, like, learning the car instead of just like, oh, I'm gonna come out and just build a car that's probably capable of going, like, 850. Because if you're not used to driving a car with any power, and it could be pretty dangerous. Like, I work on cars on the side on Evos and DSMs, and people just hit me up. I don't solicit or nothing like that. They hit me up like, hey man, you know what you're doing. I heard, that you work on some cars. I'm like, yeah, so I do. And then, like, I'll tell them, like, hey man, like, first off, these cars ain't for everyone because they're temperamental, and you don't have the right parts on them. It could go south. If you have the right parts on it, it could still go south. But it'll make the power. Just be careful, And, like, some of the guys, like Dave, he still tunes, like, a lot of the guys' cars that I build, right? Still, and he'll like, hey, how much horsepower do you think I should tune this thing to? And I'm just like, what's he asking, dude? And he's like, like, oh, he wants like 850, 900. I'm like, dude, I don't know, man. I drove with him before. Like, I don't know if he can handle that. So, like, he's on a street tire. It can go bad. And I was like, dude, just tune it for that, and just then turn it back down a little bit and just see if he's comfortable with that. So obviously it's up to the customer, but
right.
But he'll call me up. He was like, he'll call me up. And he's like, hey man, what do you think? And so I tell him. He's like, so maybe he tells the customer, hey, this is what we can do for the day. Want to come back? And you know what I mean? So he's a really good guy, Dave is.
Heck yeah. This episode of the MitsuTimes podcast is brought to you by Cope Performance. They are a full-service performance shop located in Tamaqua, Pennsylvania, and specialize in all things Mitsubishi. Cope Performance builds with quality and performance in mind, from full engine builds, transmission work, powder coating services, and fabrication. You can get your entire build done in one spot, knowing that every step of the way was done with passion and precision. Excellent customer service, fair pricing, and friendly staff makes working with Cope Performance an easy choice for all your build needs. Check out all they have to offer at Cope Performance LLC on Facebook and Instagram. So, Jeff, I think we already know the answer now, but, looking back on it, you think you would buy this Evo and go through all this again?
Oh, yeah, yes. Oh, yeah. I'd buy another one.
Not a
buy another
question.
one and do it. And just keep this one and just do it all over again with the other one.
So,
they're so much fun.
Even though I think it's kind of in us, DSM Evo guys, we're never satisfied with a certain number. Why did you decide to keep going? Like, even once you said you wanted it to be a street car, and then it kind of got past that, and then past that, and past that. So, what motivated you to keep pushing this car to where it is now?
I mean, so my wife at the right now, obviously, but at the time she didn't want me to street race anymore, right? So it was like, oh, let's go to the track. And it's funny. Everybody thinks they're a really good driver until they go to the track and like reality hits them in the face. Like, oh man, really? Like my car leaves so hard on the street. Well, you think car leaving hard on the street, but like you really treed the guy, and you got to the 60 first because you treed the guy, and so it makes it look like the car's leaving hard, but you really went on 155, 65. Like, you know what I mean? But I started going track racing with the car, and it just kept on progressing, like in like short little spans, like, you know what I mean? Just to learn how to shift quicker and just go through gears, and mainly just work on the launch and just shifting and like turn up the boost a little bit, and it was just getting quicker. The best part of it is when you don't touch the tune at all and the car's getting quicker just you driving it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I just like to see improvement. You know, even if it's not like really, really big improvement, just chipping away.
Yeah, for sure.
After years it's satisfying. It is.
Yeah. I think people out there, maybe they're thinking about getting into drag racing or probably any type of racing. Hell, I don't know. But it's those incremental PBs, even if it's, like a 1/10 or 2/10 or 3/10. Like, man, that is so satisfying.
It really is. And you know what? Even like a couple hundredths is satisfying, especially when you're going so fast, right?
Oh, yeah.
You're like, okay, yeah, 400 or 500, I have for 10. Okay, yeah, there we go. We're picking it up. So if I do this here and shift a little faster right here, it might pick up a little bit more on on the big end. But look, we all know that this platform is terrible to drag race with, right? It wasn't made for that. And I like, what else motivates me is when you go to the track and you kind of like, the person is standing out a little bit. It's different, you know what I'm saying? It's like, man, that thing is fast. Like, I go up to the local track, man, and people just gather up. The car looks pretty serious for what it is, right? And velocity stack out the front, nice titanium exhaust out, striped. That's been striped, sticking out the side, parachute on the back, and the car looks good. And like, people gather around it, cell phones out, just all standing around the car when I'm up at the line, and it's just nice having something different. It's pretty quick, and yeah, that motivates me. I like that. Yeah.
Heck yeah. All right, Jeff. So you said we're talking about kind of working on other people's cars. Let's say that someone out there, they have an Evo, they're thinking about building it to be a little bit quicker than it is. What advice would you give them on their build so that they don't make the same mistakes or kind of have the shortcomings that you may have ran into within this 15 years that you've had this car?
Let's see. If you want to try to get it to go quicker, obviously, like, you're going to have to, unless you're rich, or like, because these cars are temperamental, unless you have, maybe not rich, maybe you just have, you're wealthy, have some money, I always tell some people, like my buddy, hey, you might want to start getting a little bit familiar with these cars, like, because they have some downtime, right? And so if you're learning to tinker with the car yourself a little bit, you don't have to take it down, let's just say a week or 2 weeks to fit in someone like me's schedule where I can touch it again, right?
Yeah.
To work on it, because I'm trying to work on my race car too, but maybe like get familiar with it and surround yourself maybe actually with some good people, if you can, and then like your tuner, right? So you gotta get a tuner that is somewhat familiar with and may have a reputation of like going fast, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or tuning some fast cars, even if maybe it might not be fast at the track or a track, right? But maybe it might have a good reputation on the street because it's a no time grudge car. You know what I mean? Like, if a car does work on the street, Like, oh man, yeah, that guy knows he's done. I'm gonna take my car to him
For sure.
Not everybody time races. The no time stuff is really big.
Really popular right now.
Yeah. I like it.
That and no prep. That's like the big thing now. That's what's keeping the tracks going, I think.
Yeah, we went to. It's funny. We went to a no prep airport race up in Berkeley Springs, West Virginia, in 2000 and I want to say like 2019. And we entered a stick class. Oh my goodness, we destroyed them. We won that. Had a real nice laser cut steel laser cut trophy upstairs.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, it was like stick shift spring bash. That was cool. We had like $1,500. It was cool. We got some good track record. We won Street Eliminator last year at the shootout. I went up there to I really didn't have no time to race the car at all, and like throughout the spring and stuff, like I go to school and I work, so the schedule's not always there. So we wound up going to the shootout, and I was like, I just got this next gen turbo. Didn't even know what it was going to do. I literally put it on for the shootout, right? Because I was trying to dial the car in for World Cup, because that was the goal, right? To run World Cup. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to put the interior back in the car, and I'm going to just go up there and relax and not have to worry about racing. I'm just going to go make some passes with the car. Man, we turned the boost up from like when the Gen 2 was out of steam. I put the boost map and then I'm like, I want to see what this little turbo can do, right? This thing won 173 on ethanol, and I was like, damn. I didn't know what it was going to do. So we wound up winning the class, and I kind of felt bad, because the car is a different caliber than some cars, you know what I mean?
Right.
Most cars, and I do wheel the thing pretty good, right? So we always put a good showing up at the shootout. I feel like a lot of people really didn't know me a couple of years ago, but I think they know me or who I am and who the car is now.
For sure.
Man, that car shows up. And I think the year before that, we lost to Jason Fletcher, and the Street 32 class. We came in second, and the car was going like 890, 880, and his car was going 830 to 100. He had 24 more mile an hour than my car was going 160, because that Gen 2 turbo was out of steam. I could turn the boost up with tapered 50 pounds, and that's all she had. It was it was spike to 53 and then hold to 50, and I can only get 160 out of it. And he was going 184, and I tried to get him on the tree, and the guy on the tree was playing games all day, and I red lit. But it was a good race all the way down. But hey, he had a faster car. The kid's got a fast car.
Yeah,
it's always fun racing, and we always put a good show in up at the shootout.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
Yeah.
So, Jeff, do you have any goals for 2023 or any long-term goals with this car?
Well, it's funny you say that, because as much as it hurts for me to say this, I think it's time for me to not put an end to the gray car, because it's going to make its way back to a street car. But, yeah, I think I found a new chassis, and then I just want to go real fast. So I'm going to retire 1Fine9 from the track competitively, and I guess put it back to a stockish car, maybe a little built motor, 62, 66, street car, put the stock interior back in it, all the...
Be able to have fun with it again.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So, if you guys follow the car, if you guys are looking forward to the car, coming out, I'm really sorry. But thanks for supporting me with the car for, all these years, so...
But it sounds like you're coming back bigger and better this time.
Oh, yeah. There's a big surprise. You guys are going to like this surprise.
Okay. Is there anything that you can let us in on other than it's a bigger and better chassis?
It's going to be a bigger turbo.
Okay.
It's going to still have the same fuel system on it. Bigger turbo. It's a lighter chassis for sure. Probably 300 pounds lighter, I would say. I have to see once I get it all dressed up. And it's got 25.5 cage in it. It's just built to go fast, so
Heck yeah.
It's a purpose-built drag car.
It's gonna help you be a lot more competitive at World Cup, because I know you were complaining about the weight of the car before.
Yeah, it was just really hard at that weight. It's almost 2,800 pounds. It had to be 2,750, but I kept it a little heavy to not come close to, getting disqualified by any chance. But this one, I'm going to be running some of the Chris Miller events with it too.
Okay.
So yeah, he's wanting me to get some he asked for some opinion on some rules, and then I was telling him look, man, the Evo with this weight, with this turbo size, it just can't be competitive with some of these sport front wheel drive cars.
Yeah,
because
sure.
I was telling him some combinations of the other cars. I'm like, look, it took this much to go this fast on this car and multiple cars, so there's no way that even with this size turbo, it can run this fast against those cars. Those sport front wheel drive cars, man. Phew. I think some of them went 760 or something like that.
Sure,
so they're no joke, man.
That's awesome, man. I'm it sucks to see 1Fine9 go to the retirement home, but it's still going to be out there living its best life. It sounds like so. It's a bittersweet moment.
Yeah, you know what? I really can't wait. I talk to my wife about it all the time. I cannot wait to drive that car again on the street.
Heck yeah.
It's going to be fun.
Well, good. At least it's a happy ending.
Yeah, it is. It is.
So, Jeff, what events can we see you at in 2023? I'm sure the World Cup is a guarantee.
Yeah, I'm going to try. Yeah. Let's see. So Chris Miller Racing, CMR Productions, I think it is. He's got a lot of races. Looks like set and schedule up at ACO. So we're going to try to hit some of those. I'm gonna try to get some no prep stuff. My local track has this thing on Friday night called King of the Hill. It's kind of like anything goes, you put in $60 for no time, and the winner takes some of the pot home. I'm gonna try to do some of those. I'm gonna try to get to some IFOs. Definitely the shootout and import versus domestic World Cup finals to see if I can still get a spot in one of those classes.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Take home the big payday.
We'll try. Those guys down that property are drivers, man. They all cut lights, 04 lights. This is there's some tree cutting dudes, I'll tell you.
I think it's, not just the Honda guys, but I did focus a lot on the Honda guys, especially from Speed Factory. Those guys race so much that they're just so good at
it. You ain't kidding. Man, I'd love to have the time and just to go through that, And I'm going to school for HVAC still. It's an apprenticeship, so I'm almost done. Now I should have some more spare time. A lot more money, too, soon. I could throw into the Evo.
Heck yeah. So, Jeff, where can people find you at on social media to be able to follow your racing and to be able to see more of your build?
I don't take a lot of pictures. Stuff, but you can follow me on Facebook. Just come look for my name, Jeffrey Mueller, or I think it's Jeff Mueller on Facebook. But I do have an Instagram. It's all for spinning, so ALL4SSPINNING, and that's about it. I don't use Instagram too much, but Facebook I do.
Jeff, I always give people a chance to give a shout out or a thanks to anybody who helped them get where they are, get their car where it is. Is there anybody that you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, my wife. It's a bunch of people actually. I get some help. It's from some friends. I don't have no sponsors or anything like that. It's all funded by me and my wife.
Right.
My wife and I. So I never stepped to anyone. Dave actually for a couple of years, to my car. He wouldn't charge me, but I'd still give him some money. He's like, no, I don't want nothing. I'm like, here, go take some money. And but my wife, Jamie Mueller, she helps. She's down in there. I'm sure people have pictures of her taking off the head with me.
Yep.
And staying up late sometimes, out in the trailer helping, or we were at the shootout changing heads because we cracked the cylinder head, I think, last year. Yeah, last year. She's helping me change the head. We left the track at I think 1 a.m. came back and we won the race. So she was pretty happy. My buddy Christopher Velarde, he lives in Frederick, and he's always down to help me if right there. So I give him a call. He's right there, give me a hand if he can. Alex and Mike, man, I owe them a lot. They do help me a lot, so thank you guys. Dave Katz from EFI Specialties down in Virginia. Norman Soper from JRP Parts down in Glen Burnie. He's like a wholesaler, right? And he hooks me up on some stuff parts wise. You know what I mean? He helps me out.
Heck yeah.
And so any little bit helps, you know what I mean? So like I said, I don't have a sponsor, so you know, so and I don't really like asking for stuff, but he's always been a really nice guy and helped me out. So without even me asking. Eugene and Wes from Precision Turbo, they've really helped me out. Precision Turbo, that's why if you listen to the turbos all I've been through, damn near every single one of them is Precision Turbo. Yeah. And their customer service, man, they really do help the racer, you know, and even if something happened to the turbo and it was your fault, you know what I mean? Or like catastrophic failure or whatever. And like, I've had them, really work with me, and my 6785, I took it to World Cup and when I took it off the car, put the 64 on, right? I took the turbo out, and the turbine wheel was just like eroded, right?
Huh.
Looked like it was melting away from the anti-lag. It was pretty aggressive, right? And I took it to the booth, and Wes was like, yeah, he was like, we'll take it back with us, this and that. And I just got a call, last week, and they're really, hey, it's this much money, but you know what? We'd do this for you. You know what I mean? They're always willing to help out.
That's awesome.
Getting the turbo back to me, next day and stuff like that. They've worked on turbo before. I was worried about smoking, and they had it Monday, and I had it back Friday.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Their customer service awesome. So thank you guys. My buddy Matt Grosiger, he does a lot of the fab work on the car for me, especially last minute stuff. He's a really big help. My buddy Tyler Chris, he actually made the turbo kit originally for this car. It was a one-off turbo kit. I wanted a one-off turbo kit, so he made it for me. He hooked me up. My buddies, Greg Shaw does Shepherd. They know what they're being thanked for. They're always there. They're some of my really close friends. I also would like to thank Haltech, specifically Josh Redden at Haltech USA. They have helped me a lot, and anytime I have questions, track support, he's always there to help. So I always rock Haltech gear. 3 days of the week. Yep. My hoodies, shirts, you know what I mean? So their sweatshirts, all this stuff, they're really nice, man.
Heck yeah.
Their beanie hats and of course my 2500 Elite. I love that thing. So thank you very much, Haltech.
Yep.
And Josh Redden. For sure. And all the DSM and all my DSM and Evo buddies all over the country, for all the years since I started with this platform, made a lot of close friends, and I talk to them nightly, sometimes multiple times a day, right? Mike and Alex, we have 3-way conversations, and I call them horsepower meetings. And we always bounce each other. We always bounce ideas off each other, and and they're leagues ahead of me, right? So I'm like, oh, I don't really know, they're like, oh no, your opinion does really matter and stuff like that. So, it's so funny. And, all the phone calls and the pits visits from the people coming to the events and stuff like that. And my family, and thank you, Josh, for what you do. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
It's really nice what you're doing with the community.
I appreciate
it. You look forward to seeing somebody's really oh man, what did they do at the track? Did they update it? And it's really nice. And it's one of the other things that keeps me motivated now.
Good. That's the whole point. That's why I do it. All right, Jeff. Well, hey, thank you for taking the time to come on here and tell your story. I hope that we can motivate some people to hit the track and get some more times up there.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
It was fun.
We'll be looking for an update from you soon.
Yeah. But thanks again.
Absolutely, Jeff. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the MitsuTimes podcast. Check out our Instagram and Facebook for daily updates. Get added to our list by going to MitsuTimes.org and clicking Submit a Slip. Thank you to all of our sponsors.